Hello, welcome to A Very Explosionary Christmas, our podcast dedicated to the merriest of holidays, festive season with films about Santa, snow, or being left home alone, the time of year when we all come together because being alone sucks. I'm your host, Ashley Hobley, and helping me grow my heart 3 sides this Christmas year is Dylan Blight. Yep.
So matching your tone.
Matching my tone. Alright, on today's episode, we've got the last of our TV special episode reviews. This time we've got some genre TV shows. So let's jump into it. The first of our episodes is The X-Files, Season 6, Episode 6, How the Ghost Stole Christmas.
Let's hear it. Give me the details.
Look, if you got Christmas stuff to do, I don't want to,
Mulder, I drove all the way out here. I might as well know why, right?
I just thought you'd be more curious.
Who lives in the house?
No one.
Then who are we staking out?
The former occupants.
They've come back?
That's the story.
I see. The dark Gothic manor, the omnipresent low fog hugging the thicket of overgrowth. Wait. Is that a hound I hear baying out in the moors?
No, actually, that was a left cheek sneak.
Mulder, tell me you didn't call me out here on Christmas Eve to go ghost busting with you.
Technically speaking, they're called apparitions.
First aired December 13th, 1998. Directed by Chris Carter, written by Chris Carter. On Christmas Eve, Mulder and Scully find themselves trapped in a haunted house with 2 ghosts who are determined to prove just how lonely the holiday can be. Dylan, will you be surprised to know that I didn't really watch X-Files?
I'm not, but also sometimes you say things that don't really make sense because I feel like, like it's serialized television.
Mm-hmm.
It's Monster of the Week stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So really, it's your sort of shit.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
I guess it was just at the time. Maybe it was on at the same time as something else I would prefer to watch at the time. Because I don't know if you remember this, Dylan. Back in the 90s, you only had a choice between 3 things. And if something was on at the same time as something else, you just couldn't watch it anymore.
Did you ever have one of those did you ever get one of those TVs where you could put so I had as a kid, I had a VHS player in my room, and I did set that up to record stuff, and it was done where it would record another channel somehow while I'm watching another one.
I don't know if I ever said it. I don't know if I did that.
So
that'd be helpful.
That's how I got around some of this.
Yeah.
And I would quite often, now we're going down a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
But
that's what this podcast is really about.
I remember when I was in high school, you make me flashback now. I used to, now, this is the oldest I'm going to sound to a lot of people is when I say these things, but we used to get the paper, right? Get the paper. And then I can't remember what day they put the TV guide in there, but there was a certain day that you had the TV guide. Maybe it was Sundays or something like that, right? For the week ahead. So you get the TV guide, and I would go through and find every movie that I wanted to record. Because again, no streaming, right?
Yes.
So it was like, and some of these things I was circling to record, couldn't rent. I've never seen them at my video store, my local store and stuff like that. So standout memory to me, actually, the first time I ever watched Pan's Labyrinth was I recorded it when it played at like 12 p.m. on SBS or something.
Yeah, I was about to say it was on SBS, wasn't it?
It was on SBS. It was at 12 o'clock. It was on a school night, but I recorded it and I watched it back to that. But I had one of those, so you put the tape on long play. So you get like a 3-hour tape will turn into a 6-hour tape, bit lower quality or whatever. But I would circle everything I wanted to watch, and that included some like specials and not a lot of actual normal TV, to be honest. But like sometimes like the ABC would have on, like a little feature thing or like a Four Corners thing or something. All these things I'll just watch on ABC iView these days. But circle all those in the movies, and I'd set them all, time, date, on the Sunday night before Monday, to record the rest of my week, plan out my week's
Oh, it's
recording.
like
Ash.
a week's worth of recording. Set
Yeah,
out.
weeks. I would plan out a week's. I don't know how any of this is super surprising, but that's what I would do.
How many tapes do you have?
I think I probably had like between 6 to 8. I think.
Okay.
You used to get them from Chicken Feed up the road. It's like
Yeah. So you're recording over stuff constantly, like watching it when you
yeah,
get.
yeah.
And then
I would watch it and then I would use the tape again. I wasn't saving anything. I wasn't here collecting the movies and like marking the tapes as Pan's Labyrinth or whatever. I was just using it
you're
as
like,
basically.
I only need to watch it once.
Yeah, well, I mean, like ideally, I'd buy things down the road, if I wanted. But like, I was basically using this as a DVR, like I was.
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is what
Before
you do
we
now.
had DVR.
Now, when I down the road later, technology got better. I got one of those TVs with the USB that you could put in the side, and then you could set up a recording that way. That was a lot easier.
I can
I
imagine.
forgot the fuck we're talking about.
X-Files.
Right, X-Files. Yeah. Anyway, yep.
So I never really watched the X-Files. Never really got into it. What I know of the X-Files is mostly from osmosis or like from references from other shows and that kind of stuff. I was under the impression
Okay.
that the X-Files was just like Scooby-Doo. Every week they're like, there's some sort of alien phenomenon, but really it's this old man at the carnival. And based on this episode, that's not the case. Or is that the case? This is just a random one-off.
Well, no, because
Are aliens really out there?
so Mulder, David
Duchovny.
Yes, I don't remember how to say his last name. David Duchovny's character, he is the aliens a real person that works at the FBI. This is the show setup, and he teams up with Scully, who is they're not real person.
Yeah.
Now, as the show progresses throughout the seasons, of course, becomes a bit more. We're all believers now, we're true believers. Any true believers out there? You know what I mean? But that's how the show was started. However, the idea that you thought this show was all aliens aren't real and supernatural doesn't exist, the whole show is supernatural. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Interesting. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now I know.
Now you know.
Now maybe I can get the X-Files.
Yeah.
Got some free time coming up.
Fucking hell.
Get in and watch too. Okay, so why'd you pick this episode of television to talk about it?
I googled.
Were you an X-Files person?
I don't say hardcore, but I definitely watched it. Enjoyed it. Watched it when it was on. Would watch the episodes. I definitely never kept up super hardcore. What was like? I just watched
the movies.
I watched it. I watched the movie. I think I watched that. I think my dad rented that when it came out in the early 2000s or whatever. No, I don't think we ever watched the second one. I still don't think I've watched the second one, to be honest. But we watched the first one, and never watched the second one. I watched some of the reboot series when it came out.
I was thinking there was a reboot series, wasn't there?
Yeah. So
2 seasons. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm a watcher, but not like a hardcore fan. I'm a watcher that understands some of the memes and stuff a bit more than you obviously do. Do you even know about the smoking man? Like like
it does sound familiar, but I don't know specifically.
Because whenever you play Mass Effect, I'd have the character was just the smoking. Like it was very obviously an X-Files. Anyway, whatever. Yeah, I googled sci-fi Christmas episodes, and this came up, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's a good pick." Sure. To be honest, that was it.
Yes. So I don't know if I did read the description. So it's just crazily 2 people going to the house and.
Well, hold on. Here's what I'll say. I saw it in the list, and I had seen this before, but and I hadn't seen it since I was probably in high school, right? But I was like, well, this would be a good one to pick because you don't really need to know anything to watch it. Like it'll work for this show.
You just reasonably standalone.
Yeah, yeah.
And
2 great guest stars.
2 great guest stars in Ed Asner and Lily Tomlin.
Yep.
Clearly a bottle episode, which is a thing that
works well when you do
got
a
a bit
Christmas
more
podcast.
Yeah.
Yep.
Got a bit more buzz around it. People understand what a bottle episode is, and Just reading the Wikipedia page, they're like, this was the least expensive episode of season 6.
Shockingly.
Shockingly, because what, they went to one location, maybe two, and just
Outside the house and inside the house.
Yeah, and then Mulder's apartment at the end. That's it.
Did you watch Fringe?
I watched.
You watched Fringe.
Yes.
You didn't watch much of Fringe either.
I watched I want to say 3 seasons, and it was like very difficult to find at the time. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm still just
processing.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this is an interesting episode. The episode is, well, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's 2 ghosts fucking with 2 people.
Correct. I mean, that's teach them the meaning of Christmas. You know,
the meaning of Christmas is not to shoot each other, apparently, which these ghosts lead Mulder and Scully to believe that they shot each other. It's kind of wild. It's kind of wild. This was a network television episode, and it's just 2 people just constantly just not being able to open doors.
Yeah.
Just every door is locked. Your guns, like, just knock them down. You know. Yeah,
I mean,
you've already established nobody lived in this house, and then you're like, yeah. I mean, it was enjoyable enough.
I think the thing is, so it's a bottle episode, but obviously it plays into like their lives, and you get that one moment at the end where they like they come over and they spend that moment together for Christmas and stuff. Like, so there is a little bit more of like background character building here, and then you've also got the thing where, as I was saying, one's a believer and one's not, and then you could take some of the like them not being able to work past that could lead to their deaths as some of the underpinning, I guess, message within the episode and stuff. Like, whatever. But
then once you have this experience, how could you not be a believer? When you clearly know, that they're clearly ghosts, and you saw they're clearly ghosts. Are you like, oh, it's just a fucking gas leak?
Well, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. I think so. Yes.
It's just Scully is like, we're constantly going into gas leak places, and that explains everything.
I swear someone's made a joke like that before, like some anime show where I watched where they like made fun of X-Files or something. It's like, crazy, there's gas leaks everywhere. like
well, the gas leak thing, that's just a reference to Community. So, yeah. I mean, it's a fine episode. I think it's impressively written and put together, and like, just, clever use of scale and budget. Because I'm sure they wanted to use that money more for places elsewhere.
You know who got his start on the X-Files?
Who?
Guess. Someone important to me. Think hard. Someone important to me got their major start, big career boost off the X-Files. Not an actor.
Oh, was it, do you know, what's her face?
I said not an actor. So it's
not an actor. Oh, okay. No, I don't know what director or writer. Vince Gilligan. Okay.
Yeah, he was like.
I was going to say Rhea.
Seehorn, yeah.
Yeah, that's who I do. What's her face? Yeah.
I think like season 3, 4 or something like that. He was like, he got on board as like a co-producer, and like he wrote like a bunch of episodes and stuff.
Right.
I think that's where he met. I think he did an episode with fucking what's his face? Malcolm in the Middle. Yeah, that guy.
Bryan Cranston.
I think he did an episode with Bryan Cranston, wrote an episode, and then Bryan Cranston starred in it for the X-Files. I think that's where they met. I think that was the episode.
Interesting. All right. Any other final thoughts on this episode?
No, crazy. X-Files is a good TV show. Hey, definitely not Scooby-Doo.
Definitely not Scooby-Doo, apparently. And what do you think were in those presents at the end? Scully definitely got Mulder a DVD. That's pretty clear. I think the other one's bottle alcohol.
Yeah, I was about to say alcohol, but I was trying to think of a better answer. But to be honest,
I don't know what other cylinder shaped gifts
nothing.
or a candle. Maybe it was a candle.
No, I don't think it's a candle. Seems kind of boring.
All right, our second episode is from the show Supernatural, Season 3, Episode 8, A Very Supernatural Christmas.
So, is that right? Is it the serial killing chimney sweep?
Yep. It's actually Dick Van Dyke.
Who?
Mary Poppins.
Who's that?
Oh, come on. Never mind.
Well, turns out that Walsh is the second guy in town grabbed out of his house this month.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
The other guy get dragged up the chimney, too?
No. Witnesses said they heard a thump on the roof. So what the hell do you think we're dealing with?
Actually, I have an idea.
Yeah?
It's gonna sound crazy.
Could you possibly say that sounds crazy to me?
Evil Santa.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm just saying that there's some version of the anti-claus in every culture. You got Belsnickel, Krampus, Black Peter, whatever you want to call it. There's all sorts of lore.
Saying what?
Saying back in the day, Santa's brother went rogue, and now he shows up around Christmas time, but instead of bringing presents, he punishes the wicked.
By hauling their ass up chimneys?
For starters, yeah.
So this is your theory, huh? Santa's shady brother?
Just saying, that's what the lore says.
First aired December 13th, 2007, directed by J. Miller Tobin, written by Jeremy Carver. Sam and Dean hunt down the anti-Santa, who is crawling down chimneys and kidnapping victims. Sam can't accept that this will be the last Christmas he'll spend with his brother. I think we're probably flipped on this one, right?
I thought
Where
this was about.
I've watched a lot of this show.
I
and
thought
you
this
probably...
was about like people that they ripped, and then they turns out they weren't actually fantasy creatures. Or
No, there's
things,
actually fantasy
that they
creatures
were
and
just-
demons and
like
stuff. all
I
the
thought
time.
this was like Scooby Doo.
No, unfortunately, this is not like Scooby Doo.
It's
like-
wild.
Pretty bad, yeah.
Crazy.
But yeah, I'm assuming you haven't watched much of this show.
I think I watched the first. I think I've watched the first couple seasons in its entirety. When it was airing on TV, and then I think I stopped pretty much. Like I've watched a couple seasons in entirety, and then a random mix of episodes. I definitely dove off. I don't feel like the show. I could not sustain its long form storytelling, or what there was of. Like,
Yeah.
and this is, I don't think I'm saying anything that's a particularly hot cake, but I mean, by the time you get to this season, it's like a character's got to die by the end. I'm like, you write yourself into a corner, and then they just write themselves out of it, and then they write themselves into a corner, and then they just keep bringing characters back to life, die, back to life. Like, the type of storytelling this show did was just annoying for me.
Yeah, so this is... Weirdly, this is a show I ate up. I stuck around for like 10 seasons.
It never ended. It went for fucking forever.
15 seasons. So,
Absolutely wild.
very impressive for a show that predominantly just had two main cast members, throughout most of its run, and was like a different location or case every single week. So, which was what was, I guess, appealing to me. But yeah, I thought I didn't remember this episode going back to watch it. The reason I think I picked this one because it had been mentioned at some point previously on one of our other years of doing this. I don't know if Cherie or something maybe wanted him to do it. But that's what jogged my memory and had it like written down somewhere to do an episode of. But yeah, I thought it was actually pretty good. I thought, they hit a lot of notes. They told character backstory, filled in a lot of blanks. They're like very much a very Christmassy tone. Even the opening of the episode is like what would show before like proper Christmas specials back in the 80s or whatever in America, apparently. And then, yeah, they delve into a lot of the darker Christmas lore in this episode of, believe it or not, Christmas. Jesus was not born in December.
Oh.
They moved the celebration of his birth to co-ops pagan traditions. And that's why we celebrate Christmas in December.
I told you Christians stole shit.
They co-opted. They stole this shit. They did steal some other shit, which we'll talk about. We talked about last week. But yeah, I thought it was pretty good, and like, I didn't remember what the big bad was at the end of the episode, and it was, I thought, a fun enough 45 minutes of horror adjacent television. Very very adjacent television. But Dylan, what do you think of this episode?
Yeah, it was all right. I felt like and this is definitely like I can understand if this is just in part from I'm watching this out of context, but too much flashbacky sort of stuff. Sort of was killing the pacing a bit for me. Also, I felt like the kid actors were shit and they were annoying me. Sorry, not sorry, but just
It's interesting because I read the Wikipedia page and they were like praised back at the time.
It's interesting
from the reviewers at the time. Yeah,
both not good and annoying. Maybe that was the point.
they're all fine.
And then I as much as I enjoyed the what were the villains? Spirits? No, what are we
The
calling?
like pagan spirit, like
pagan gods? I don't know.
yeah,
Whatever
pagan
they were.
gods, I guess.
Their performances were fun, with the whole cheesy. My favorite part was when they like the knock on the door and they get that pie or whatever the hell it was and they tread on it on the way
It's
back
pretty-
in. And
Pretty clearly fruitcake.
fruitcake, there we go. Fruitcake, and then they tread on. That was a bit of fun. The only thing that annoyed me was just like the inconsistency with like how powerful they were, because they get their ass handed to them the first time so they could get tied up and everything, and then the second fight it's like I think Sam gets pushed against the wall, but like he doesn't get knocked out, but then you know what I mean, like just that like that weird like just we got to have him win this time. So
Yeah.
the last time they were shown like to be they could lift them up with the ease and stuff. So
But they cut the blood, so I don't. Yeah,
yeah,
there's probably
it's fine.
they
it's
can't
whatever.
get through doors, Dylan. It's completely
It's whatever.
human
But
flesh.
That was the only thing that annoyed me. I was like, okay.
Enjoy it. Yeah, it's interesting going back, like trying to figure out the timeline of when this fits, and the kind of melodrama that's an element.
Well,
of
I know exactly
of
where
the
this
episode.
fits because I feel like this is when I stopped watching this season. What season is this?
It's like season 3. So at the end of season 2,
Yep.
Dean makes a deal with a demon
Mm-hmm.
for his life to save Sam's life.
Yeah.
Which is a constant theme throughout the show.
Dean dies at the end of this season. Spoilers. And then when he gets down there, they introduce what's his name? Celeste. No, what's the character's name? The angel.
Castiel.
Castiel. Thank you. He's played by that actor. And
I
then
don't know if he dies. I can't remember.
He goes to hell, and then Castiel helps him come
That's
back.
right. Castiel pulls him out of hell.
And then Castiel becomes a big part of the show for the remainder. So I had a girlfriend when the show was airing, and who was also loved it. So I had to keep up with what was happening all the time.
You understood.
I understood the base, but also I'd be like, but then next season it's like, well, now Sam's dead. So I'm like, it's right, Castiel saved them. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. I mean, part of me wants to go just finish us the last 5 seasons. Like,
people hated
why
the way
not?
it ended. I remember reading that people didn't like the ending or something. So
I don't know. I didn't like. Yeah.
Do you want me to tell you how it ends?
No, we'll probably save it from this podcast. We can talk about it off air.
You can probably guess based on what I just said.
I mean, everybody dies probably. Pretty sure Jeffrey Dean Morgan comes back at some point. Get a paycheck. Yeah, I had a good time though, and made me have fond memories of the times when I enjoyed that show back in the day. And a very nice last moment of celebrating what they think will be their last Christmas together with gas store bought presents. If you were to go to a petrol station right now, what do you think your go-to gift to get out of there would be?
Tell the person to get a new job and it's not worth it. That's a gift I can give someone working there. It's the best gift I can give.
I forgot. For a second, I forgot. But then you're also the best person to ask. Have you ever had someone buying Christmas gifts from you at your petrol station? Yeah.
We used to sell, like we would have, like boxes, chocolates, and like
okay, basic stuff.
The basic sort of shit like that. But people would be buying that last minute, last second gift. We'd wrap them up too, like have them pre-wrapped. People would buy them. Wow. Yeah. And it would be Christmas Eve. Like,
yeah,
it's bad.
What we're saying is, Get your presents early.
Yeah.
All right, let's know what you thought of these episodes, these Christmas episodes of television, by going to explosionnetwork.com/Twitter, jump to Discord at explosionnetwork.com/Discord, or find us on Blue Sky at explosionnetwork.com. If you want to help us out here at a very Explosion Network Christmas, leave us a review anywhere you can leave reviews. Leave us any 5 stars, and you can leave 5 stars, and just tell me about the show. And if you've enjoyed this episode, thought it was worth $1, head on over to our co-page at explosionnetwork.com/support. Thank you very much for listening. Until next time, remember, be careful what's in your reef.